Hello and welcome back to Alice Talks Football, and welcome back to another live Manchester United news, transfer news, takeover news and general chit-chat show discussing the latest news. Still hurt from the FA Cup final, and we might speak about that game later on, but the focus now is on the transfer news, and realistically the focus should be on actually the takeover, because the takeover is the start of the transfer. But there's some news coming in about Sheikh Yassim and Qatar making another bid, which I said I wouldn't be shocked if an article like this came out, because every time, the Glazers are in London, they seem to be meeting Qatar representatives. And every time the Glazers are in London, a reliable source will say that they like Sergio Ratcliffe's bid. And it's like, oh, are they deliberately doing this just before, they potentially meet Qatar? We will talk about that. I'll probably do a video tomorrow morning directly on the takeover, because I know a lot of people like my takeover videos and just would rather me just get into what's been said and what it might mean. So I'll probably do a short video tomorrow on the takeover, and I want to use this live stream to talk more about transfers, because today has been a day full of transfer news. And I am going to say this, United being linked to 100 different players in the transfer market the day after we lose a big game. That it's very Manchester United. It happens a lot. And I will say, I think there's some truth in a lot of the stories. But you've got to remember, we are Manchester United. The PR spin is something that regularly happens as well. We need Mason. Eriksen's legs was dead. And I tweeted this. I said, you know what? I've not been the biggest fan of the Mason Mount signing, but I see it once I watched that Eriksen game. I said, I see the need for Mason Mount. So let me get into the news. And I will say, I think the Kim Min-jae and Diogo Costa stories I would take with a bit of a pinch of salt, because I think sometimes some of it's PR spin. The Diogo Costa story, I think some of it's PR spin, and I think the same with Kim Min-jae, but I'm not 100% sure on the sources. But I would take the Hojlund and Mount stories very seriously. I really would. I did a little transfer summary. I said Hojlund is basically begging for United move. He seems to be the first choice after Kane, but Ten Hag wants both. Mount's teammates basically confirmed he's coming to United, and Kim Min-jae will choose United, said talent reports. In today's video, basically, it said he's going to United or something. I can't remember what the title of the thumbnail is, but Ben Chilwell basically came out and said Mount is going to United. But, basically Mount's teammates have pretty much confirmed he's going to United. I spoke to some people that I trust, who've got some good sources, about Hojlund, and they gave me some very strong indications that Hojlund could end up at Manchester United. And we will talk about Kim Min-jae and Harry Kane news. Also news coming out that United want a left winger, and I think United faithful has made a really good point here. They're saying maybe the reports that United want a left winger is coming out at the same time of reports that Ten Hag might not be able to get Kane. Maybe United would get Hojlund and Rashford, put them as striker, and get another left winger in to give Sancho some real competition, give Garnacho some real competition. But I want to get up this, and then I want to get up to the actual news that came out. But it was said today that Manchester United are closing in on deals for Kim Min-jae and Diogo Costa. I think the Diogo Costa one is a PR spin. I think that United like him, but I think it's a PR spin because the hair was awful, because we lost the FA Cup. I think the Kim Min-jae news, while I think United are seriously in for Kim Min-jae, I think Italian reports are using United's name for clicks, and it's nowhere near as advanced as Italian reports are saying. So I'd say definitely take Kim Min-jae and Diogo Costa with a pinch of salt, especially because we're also rumoured to Timber, and we wouldn't be getting both Timber and Kim Min-jae. Harry Kane does want to leave Spurs. However, Real Madrid could become the favourites to sign him, as Levy will sell to Real Madrid and not United. So it depends on what Kane's real preference is, but he says he will push to leave Spurs. And United would like ideally Kane and Hojlund, but if they don't get Kane, Hojlund will be number one choice, is what was being said. And basically, it said that Mount is very close. Personal terms obviously agree with Mount. It's up to Man United and Chelsea to agree on a price. United are going to offer Chelsea a £50 million bid, was said by Jason Butt of The Telegraph. But interestingly, Mason Mount's been interviewed about a move to United, but Mason Mount's teammates have said, look, he's moving to United. So lots of reliable stuff in terms of the transfer front, which we will be covering in today's video as well. Lee puts a good chat in here regarding the FA Cup. He says, remember this is a progress year. City are way down the road, and that we're just starting with a great manager, some good players that will improve, others will move on, and ones will become better. And this is true. I think people, it's hard to lose that game to Manchester City. It's hard to feel like our treble's on the line, and I've never thought I was going to become a big Inter Milan fan, but I am. But people, you've got to remember, this was a progress year. Last year, we're off the back of our worst ever Premier League season. Last year, it looked like half the players didn't even want to be here. There was reports saying that 17 players wanted to leave United. We were off the back of our worst ever season. Last year was an awful year for Manchester United, and we didn't even think we were going to get back in the top four. The first two games of the season we lost. We didn't think that this would be a good season. At the end of the day, we come third and we've won a trophy. We got to a final. If it wasn't for David De Gea, we probably would have got to the Europa League final and potentially won that as well, because honestly, we should have beat Sevilla. We were a miles better team than Sevilla, who ended up winning the competition. We should have won the Europa League as well. But look, that's irrelevant now. We became third and we won a trophy. And I think that's a very good year for a first year that Ten Hag's had to get us back in the Champions League, because getting us back in the Champions League is so big, because it also will help our transfer window. People want to come to United now. People will always want to come to United, but if United are in the Champions League and look like they're on the way up with a good manager, it makes United more appealing. If ownership's going to change, it could make it more appealing as well. And hopefully the ownership will sort out, because it's very obvious that a lot of players want to come to Manchester United. And, Ten Hag's really attracting a lot of people as well. Alex says we need more quality and depth, but also have to adjust the mentality of our transfers. Disgrace, lack of fight and standards. I agree. It's not just about, and Ten Hag said this multiple times, it's not just about getting good players, but it's getting players with the right mentality as well. Carl says, forget Kane. I'm sick of saying it. And honestly, I'll be honest. Kane is Ten Hag's dream. Kane is 100% Eric Ten Hag's dream. His dream transfer. He scored 30 goals in the Premier League. But Kane's going to be like Frankie de Jong this summer. I really do think Kane's going to be like Frankie de Jong this summer because of Daniel Levy. Now, Real Madrid, if they go and sign Kane next week, believe it or not, could be doing us a favour. And you'll be saying, what do you mean? We want Kane. We don't want to go to Real Madrid. Generally, if Real Madrid sign Kane next week, it could be doing us a favour, because at least it will mean we won't have a whole summer of will we, won't we sign Kane, dealing with Daniel Levy. Kane is going to be the De Jong of this summer, the Jadon Sancho of 3 summers ago. I'm going to tell you that now. It's not going to be fun, this Kane story. I cannot see United just putting in a bid and it being done like that. You've got Manchester United, who were slow, and you've got Daniel Levy. The Kane is not going to be fun. Hojlund, I think, something that we can do, and I will talk about what I've been told about Hojlund today. Some really good information on Rasmus Hojlund today, and I really believe Rasmus Hojlund could strongly be a United player from what I'm hearing, and I will get into that. I think this is one to keep an eye on, and obviously Mason Mount could be reportedly Ten Hag wants one signing in very early, and that Man United are trying to make that Mason Mount as well. So much going on in the transfer front, but I do think with Kane, it's one of those where, honestly, it's not going to be a fun one. I'm just going to scroll down in the chat here. I'm a little bit behind as well. Martin says, once United's been brought by whoever, the transfer market will go crazy. So many great players would love to join us with actual owners who are willing to spend money and get United back to the top. True, it's going to be an interesting transfer window. Striker, Rashford and Hojlund, left wing Neymar, loan and Garnacho. Kane might choose Real Madrid and Sancho could be loaned out. Well, Sancho would be on the right wing with Ahmed and Anthony. But yeah, I mean, people are saying Mount poop. Look, you know what? I've not been the biggest fan of the Mount signing, but watching Eriksen get annihilated yesterday, I've become a much bigger fan of the Mount signing. Any sale update is that reportedly there's a rumor. Now, this is a rumor. This hasn't been confirmed. That Qatar and the 90 Foundation and the Glazers are meeting tomorrow, which I will cover in my video tomorrow. And that Qatar are putting in a new bid as well. Someone said your heading is misleading. I don't get what it means. I'm saying Chilwell has said that Mount is coming to United, and I want Neymar says yes. I do. I did tweet today. That United. I wouldn't be shocked if United made a move for Neymar if we don't get Kane. But I think it's if we don't get Kane, it's we've missed out on our number 1 attacking target. Well, if we sign Hojlund, at least Rashford can be a second striker option, but then we're going to need a left winger. Okay, we'll go with Neymar because that will please the fans. I mean, that's what I honestly think with the Neymar situation. Can someone explain the purpose of Mason Mount to United? Look, if Man United sign Mason Mount, it's an improvement on Eriksen. He will do the Eriksen role. But Manchester United would need to sign another midfielder on top of Mason Mount to be able to take the ball off the defenders, provide Casemiro backup and someone defensively sound. I mean, Mason Mount and Moises Caicedo, Mason Mount and Declan Rice would be fantastic. But Mason Mount will play in a 4-3-3 system. Him and Bruno will be the 8s above Casemiro, which is what Eric Ten Hag did at Ajax. He had a DM and he had 2 8s playing above. That would be Mount and Bruno above Casemiro. Mount and Bruno, I think, would work well. It would be an improvement on Eriksen, but I think those big games, Mount and Bruno would definitely get caught out. We've got no one who's a volume passer getting the ball off the centre-back, and we might lack control in midfield, which is why it's really important if we do sign Mason Mount, you've either got to get someone like Jurriën Timber, who's more of could play as an inverted fullback and go into the midfield, which is what John Stones has kind of been doing, or you've got to go and get a Moises Caicedo, Declan Rice type player. Eric Ten Hag wants to play 4-3-3 with 2 8s. He wants someone more energetic than Eriksen. Eriksen doesn't have the legs. You can see Eriksen's legs have gone. That's what he wants Mason Mount for. And after watching Eriksen FA Cup final, I actually can see and understand why Ten Hag would want Mason Mount. But it's very important that, Mason Mount doesn't solve all our midfield issues. It's very important to realise that there's still going to be a lot of issues, even if we do sign Mason Mount in terms of that, and that needs to be fixed by our subscribers. We've got 500 people watching, guys, so please do smash the like button, and of course subscribe down below to Alice Talks Football if you're new. We need a young striker like Gonzalo Ramos. Gonzalo Ramos is my second choice after Kane. I think he's slightly better than Hojlund, but I think Hojlund could be better than Gonzalo Ramos. But I think Gonzalo Ramos would be my first choice after Kane. The reason I don't talk about Austin Hem is because I don't think it's going to happen. I think Vlahovic has dropped off too much this year. Like a year ago, I'd be talking about Vlahovic, but he's dropped off too much this year. The loss was difficult, but up against Pep at the helm for 7 years with unlimited funds versus inheriting the worst ever United side with a few signings was a huge ask. True. Alex makes a good point here. And, we were the underdogs. No one expected us to win. But when he's got Julian Alvarez, Riyad Mahrez and Phil Foden sitting on his bench, as well as people like Nathan Ake and Laporte sitting on his bench, and when we need a goal, we're bringing on an 18-year-old, Wout Weghorst and McTominay. We need a goal, we're bringing on Wout Weghorst and McTominay. How can we compete with that squad as well? You've got to think that actually, Ten Hag really didn't stand a chance, but miracles happen, and they were the favourites. And the fact that we got so close and limited them to 2 volleys that they score from outside the box says a lot. It says that actually Man City weren't that good. Alice, I think we should go for Jurrien Timber because he's an Erik Ten Hag can trust. I do like Jurrien Timber. I'm happy with Kim Min-jae and Jurrien Timber. I think Kim Min-jae is a better player than Jurrien Timber, but Jurrien Timber has versatility as he could play at right back and he could progress more into the midfield. Whoever Ten Hag prefers, Kim Min-jae or Jurrien Timber, I hope we sign, but I wouldn't complain at either one of them as well. United should sign Victor Roque. We have been linked to him to challenge Garnacho and Sancho. I think United would want a more established winger if we only sign Hojlund, so then Rashford would move to striker, I think, as well. A lot of people saying, I hope we can get Jurrien Timber. Look, I'll have to see what happens with Jurrien Timber. He wants to move. Ten Hag likes Jurrien Timber. I think this could depend on Kim Min-jae, but I think Jurrien Timber would be a great signing as well. And Mount is a great midfielder. Chelsea made lots of players seem like flops this season, true. And I'm going to say this on Mason Mount. He's not my first choice. I think I wouldn't pay any more than 50 million for him, and I think there's better value for money out there, and it is lazy scouting. But Mason Mount is a good player, and people forget that. Like, he was 2 times player of the season at Chelsea. Chelsea have all been dreadful this season, but, last year Rashford was dreadful. Was Rashford a dreadful player this year? No. Last year Bruno was dreadful. Has Bruno been dreadful this year? No. Last year Luke Shaw was dreadful. Has Luke Shaw been dreadful this year? No. Last year Varane looked like an average player. Varane has been very good this year. Lindelof looked like a championship player last year. Lindelof's been solid for us. Wan-Bissaka looked completely finished last year. He's been solid for us. Dalot, just, you've got to look at it like that. Mason Mount looks poor this season, but he was part of this worst ever Chelsea side where no one really looked good other than the odd 1 or 2 players. Like Badiashile showed a bit of potential. Enzo Fernandez has shown a bit of potential, and João Felix is obviously their best attacker. But you have to say, look, Mason Mount will look poor because of this Chelsea side, and you have to say Mason Mount is a good player. He has been a good asset to Chelsea. He's young. He's an improvement on Eriksen. And Ten Hag wants to play a 4-3-3 with 2 8s, and Mason Mount will do a much better role at that than Eriksen and Fred. He is a good player, but I do think not my first choice. I want United to be getting Moises Caicedo and looking at cheaper players abroad. I think Mason Mount is good, but I don't think he's great. And I think good, he improves us, but he doesn't complete the midfield. If we sign Mason Mount as the only midfielder, that's not a good midfield window. We need to sign another midfielder on top of Mason Mount to really make that transfer work. Mason Mount said I was going to fund Ugarte and Caicedo to Chelsea. I don't know what. I honestly don't know why Caicedo would go to Chelsea. Brighton are in Europe. He's only 21 years of age, so he might as well do 1 more year with Brighton where he's going to be at the top of his game, because he might move to Chelsea, he might not be good. Why would you go to a side that's not in Europe when you're playing for a side in Europe at 21 years of age when you've just signed a new contract with Brighton? For me, Moises Caicedo, it would be silly if he goes to Chelsea. He should wait another year. But then Enzo Fernandez forced to move to Chelsea from Benfica, who were doing really well. Chelsea still have the riz. Like, honestly, players are really wanting to push for Chelsea moves and stuff. Yeah, I said wouldn't mind Mount as long as we sign another midfielder, and I agree with you on that. And why not put the Mount funds towards Caicedo? He's both DM, physical weight, and in one signing. I agree with Alex, and I've been saying this all season. Like, we should just go for Caicedo in midfield, and I really hope he doesn't go to Chelsea. Avoid Neymar, he's a diva. I have no real issue with Neymar in the sense of I think he's a fantastic player, but I don't want another Martial or Pogba situation where they're often injured. Do you know what I mean? Like, Pogba on his day was absolutely unbelievable and unreal, but he was injured and he was unreliable, and he was on big wages and there was ego problems. That's what potentially worries me. We'll get Kane if Ratcliffe takes over. We'll get Neymar if Qatar takes over, says David. I think Neymar would be a Qatar signing, but I also think Neymar would be a Glazer signing, big name signing. Enzo Laffi, I've been saying this. United should look at someone like Enzo Laffi and Moises Caicedo for the midfield rather than Mason Mount. But United obviously don't have very advanced scouting. It's very obvious that Ten Hag is choosing the players he wants, and Ten Hag's only probably been following the English league this season mainly, and probably a bit of the Dutch league. Hence why it's very Premier League dominant, our transfer targets, because we won't have the time to watch loads of football. And I think Ten Hag is really the guy looking at, we should sign this, we should sign that, because he doesn't trust Murta and Arnold, which is why I think we've been mostly linked to Premier League and Dutch league players. But I wish United would look at Laffi. I think there's a potential bargain there as well. People say we need young players like Garnacho and we need to give them more game time. Look, Garnacho and Ahmed on the wings next season could be very exciting. Leroy says, I miss Martinez. I love the way Lindelof pushes forward with the ball. Wish we could do the same as John Stones with Lindelof. Yeah, Lindelof's been really good lately. And someone said to me in the chat of my YouTube video I uploaded earlier today, they said, because I said in my YouTube video, United are only going to sign one of Kim Min-jae and Jurin Timber because it's been confirmed we won't sign a right back. And someone said to me, well, Alice, actually, Lindelof got offers in January to leave, so did Maguire, and when I thought about that, I was like, yeah, true. Like, we know Maguire is leaving. Like, it's very, very well documented that Maguire's probably going to leave Man United this summer. Ten Hag very much hinted at that. But Lindelof also got offers to go, and Lindelof could go as well. And potentially, if we lose Maguire and Lindelof, we sign both Kim Min-jae and Jurin Timber. Potentially, if we lose them both. So maybe there's a chance for both Kim Min-jae and Jurin Timber as well. Alice, I think Eric Ten Hag should go for Timber and Rabiot. Duo would be fire. I mean, Rabiot's okay, but he's not my first choice. But I think on a free, I wouldn't say no for depth. He can be a McTominay replacement for depth. Alice, the transfer window to me is irrelevant to as long as those parasites lapping it up. Yeah, 100%. I mean, the annoying thing about the transfer window is it's very obvious that United are starting to make moves, and it's very obvious that United are finally starting to do stuff in the transfer window. But you're right, it's also really frustrating because of these Glazers. They are absolutely just, we don't know what they're doing. They're wasting time. We just want to get on. We just want to buy someone. We just want to sign someone. And it honestly feels like we can't. It feels like nothing is, like we are working on Mount and we're doing everything we need to do to get Mount, but we can't get Mount until the takeover is done. United want Hojlund and Mount and they want to get this done quick, but actually the funds need to be confirmed. Now, it was said that the Glazers have to pay 200 million by the end of June. So basically, I think they would have to get this takeover wrapped up by the end of June. There is a report and there is a strong feeling the Glazers will have to get this takeover wrapped up by the end of June. So we'll have to wait to see what happens with that as well. Casemiro and Matt Bruno will be a disaster for us. In the big games, yes. In the small games, I think it would work very well. But I think Maguire's pretty much going. Should we let Sancho go? I feel he has been negative impact on the team. Garnacho is a much more impactful player. We usually play counter-attacking football and Sancho slows down the game. I think if we're going to play more possession-dominant football with Jadon Sancho on the right and creating more chances, I think that we should keep Sancho. But I think we should keep him, play him on the right, and if he's poor, then we do sell him. I think Sancho's got one more season. Eriksen turned into aging matter after half a season. He needs to be, he used to be sparring in proper sort of matches. Yeah, Eriksen is turning into a matter. I think that's a good way of saying it as well. Alice, I think we should get Muani and Hojlund because we will be challenging for PL. We won't be challenging for the PL for 2-3 seasons, and that time they could be good. Harry Kane's only got 2 good seasons in him. You make a point there, and some people might agree with you, but I just think Harry Kane is that Robin van Persie. I generally think we signed Harry Kane, Moises Caicedo, and Diogo Costa, and we'd be in a title race. Not that I think we win it, but I think we could give City a run for their money as well. Kim Min-jae could be one of the best centre-backs in the world. Have to snap him up for that fee. 40 million is absolute bargain. I agree with Alex there. Nico Barella, I do like the player, but we've not really been linked to him, hence why I've not talked to him. Roque is targeted by Arsenal and Barcelona, but we should sign him, even though he's not established. True. I made a video on him, didn't I? I can't wait for when Mount signs for us and turns into a great player and shushes all the Chelsea fans. I actually do think Mount will be a good player for Manchester United. But I want to actually get into the transfer news because I've been talking for 16 minutes, but I haven't really got into the news. So Ben Chilwell, and this is the title of the video, Chelsea player, Mason Mount confirmed by player or something like that, because Ben Chilwell came out and said, yeah, Mason Mount is going to Manchester United. Chelsea players have come out and they've basically been saying Mason Mount is going to United. Ben Chilwell and Mason Mount were F1, and Ben Chilwell told the reporter he is going to United, and that's a very strong indication, like he's coming to United. Is what a lot of people around Chelsea, a lot of players are saying Mason Mount is coming to United, almost confirming it, but very strongly hinting it as well. And Mason Mount kind of smiled and tried to ignore the question without saying no to the question. And that was sort of the news on Mount today. But The interesting news that came out, and this is on the transfer front, is that Manchester United are in the market for a goalkeeper who's comfortable in building possession and is more reliable than David De Gea, but the priority for United is striker and midfielder. It was said Manchester United will push Tottenham to sell Harry Kane, but currently believe it's unlikely to happen. They're also targeting a left winger and another midfielder in addition to Mason Mount. It said Manchester United are interested in signing a left winger, and this might be surprising, but Ten Hag wants to add more squad depth to the pitch. There are no plans at present for United to spend significant money on a goalkeeper. So the Telegraph came out today and said that actually United won't be spending significant money on a goalkeeper, and actually Ten Hag really wants to improve depth by signing a left winger. So it was a very interesting report today that might surprise people. That Ten Hag wants a goalkeeper, but they won't spend a lot of money on one. Man United want Harry Kane, they will push for Harry Kane, but on top of Harry Kane, they'll be targeting a left winger and another midfielder in addition to Mount. So it seems that United want Harry Kane, Mount, a left winger, another midfielder, and then potentially, if the money is there, a goalkeeper and centre-backs what's coming out. Now, I actually want to get up that report that said that United were pursuing a left winger, because United faithfuls made a really good point. They said Kane is the priority and Ten Hag wants Hojlund. Man United also want a left winger. It's what's come out today. And United faithful said it's becoming clearer. Get Kane or Plan B, Hojlund and Rashford as strikers, which explains the left wing reports. And I think he makes a good point here. I think if we don't get Kane, I wouldn't be shocked if we signed a left wing and we start to see potentially Marcus Rashford deployed as a striker. Because we don't get the Harry Kane signing done. I was quite surprised that we're linked to United signing a left winger, but actually when I read that, I'm like, that kind of makes sense. I kind of understand why Ten Hag might be looking at a left winger and playing Rashford potentially striker next season if all of that can't happen, because I don't think you can rely on Hojlund because he's so young to be our striker all season. It was said regarding Kim Min-jae, another player that United might sign, that Manchester United have already had 2 meetings for Kim Min-jae and there's strong interest, but there are no other signs at this moment. The salary could be 6 or 7 million plus add-ons, and new meetings are scheduled. So a lot of reports saying that United working hard on a Kim Min-jae deal as well. I'm just going to scroll down through the chat as well. The Glazers need to go. Yeah, Koku is good, but there are others luring, and that's the thing. There's quite a few good options out there as well. Mount is a versatile player, but doesn't sort our mid against top sides, but battling for midfield. I agree. We need someone to help with control. And Neymar's still rolling on the floor as we speak from his last tackle. Fact. I think Neymar will frustrate some fans as well. If you know it's spin, why mention it? I just mention things and I say if I think it's spin or not. I don't know if it's spin. I just say I think it's a spin because people will be talking about it. People will be asking me about a report, and I'll say if I think it's spin or not as well. Chelsea trying to bite the market. I don't know why they need Casado and Ugarte when they already have Enzo and might still keep Mount, just splashing useless cash. Chelsea just want to buy everyone with no plan. Chelsea are the real life FIFA. And it's a bit harder than that. Like Chelsea will definitely be 5th or 4th next year, 100%. They will not be as bad Poch with the midfielders, but yeah. We need Kane, Kim and Jay, but also a real world-class winger. And well, seeing as United are looking at wingers, and the only real left winger we've been linked to is Neymar, so I think that's one to keep an eye on. Min-jae is well clear of Timber, and with a release clause, no-brainer who we should sign. I agree. I do think Kim Min-jae is a better player than Timber as well. You need to get new signings in before United preseason tour to USA to Diego. And I think Diego's absolutely spot on with that chat. We do need to get new signings in quick before the tour, but unfortunately, I don't see United doing that as well. Apparently, McAllister has a release clause in his contract, which is way less than 60 million, according to Romano. That's interesting because if he's going to be cheaper than Mount, surely you go for McAllister. Because Ten Hag has been looking a lot at McAllister as well. People say that Timber would need a season to settle, but we thought that about Martinez and he didn't. And Alice, we need 8 new players. Well, we've been linked to about 8 new players today. And Diogo Costa, Rasmus Hojlund would destroy teams on the break. And I think Diogo Costa's passing, his distribution is unreal. And we lack that in De Gea. We need a goalkeeper, centre-back, centre-mid, DM, striker, and striker. 100% agree. Kim and Jay, Casado, Rice, Kane, Hojlund, Costa would be a very good transfer window as well. Rashford's much less effective at number 9 though, and Rashford isn't a striker. And I agree. I prefer Rashford as a left winger than a striker, but I think Ten Hag's plan could be, if he doesn't get Kane, to get a striker and then maybe a left winger and deploy Rashford as striker. United were linked with Amrabat today, but it wasn't from a very reliable source, so I'm not going to cover that unless it comes out from a reliable source. Pardon me. And we've got over 141 likes, people, and we've got 300. We've got over 600 watching. So let's see if we can get to 300 likes, and please do smash that like button if you have not already. A lot of people talking about Kolo Muani. It's close to perfect striker that Ten Hag could rely on. The only worrying thing is I have this fear about signing Bundesliga players now. I really do have some kind of fear about signing Bundesliga players because I feel like we've been so cursed in the past when it comes to the Bundesliga. I want to talk more about the transfer news. Fabrizio Romano said Manchester United remain obsessed with Harry Kane in terms of him being the perfect striker for Ten Hag, and that Harry Kane, according to the Times, wants to leave Spurs and win trophies. However, Sami Mokbel said Real Madrid are plotting a 100 million move for United target Harry Kane. They have leverage to lower the price as Tottenham do not want to sell to an English side. So it was said Real Madrid seems to be making their move for Harry Kane, which is something to worry about. And it said that if United want Harry Kane, it's expected that Daniel Levy would charge 200 million for a player with a year left on his contract, but would only charge less than 100 million to Real Madrid because he does not want Kane going to direct Premier League rival. It was said that Kane remains Manchester United #1 target if a deal can be done. So it's very obvious, and it's said by the Telegraph today that Harry Kane is Manchester United's #1 target, but this very heavily depends on if a deal can be done, which is why I think lots of reports coming out from inside sources that United are very much looking at Rasmus Hojlund and really concentrating about signing Rasmus Hojlund. It was said those at Old Trafford rate their chances of landing Kane at unlikely at best, and they are looking at alternative options with Osimhen, Vlahovic, and options like Hojlund and Eintracht Frankfurt's Kolo Muani all being options. But it was said on Rasmus Hojlund, and I spoke to someone about Rasmus Hojlund today that Rasmus Hojlund is dreaming and begging of United. He would do anything for this move. He's joined Ten Hag's agency. He believes he's going to get this move. There's a feeling close to Rasmus Hojlund that he will get this move. So I think, Rasmus Hojlund is going to be an interesting one to keep an eye on, because a few people I've spoken to that I think are pretty reliable with good sources and wouldn't lie to me, they've basically strongly indicated that they think Rasmus Hojlund could be that striker and that this is something United is very much working on. It was said, by the way, but they are not they said, but these targets are not Kane, and that's the reason why United are unwilling just to walk away from Kane yet. United might not get Moises Caicedo until they know for sure they can't get Kane, because Manchester United players just decided they don't really want to walk away from Harry Kane as well. Kane and Bellingham at Madrid, yeah, I mean, that's mad as well. Madrid always win. Let's get Hojlund. And 30-year-old with 1 year left on his contract. Harry ain't worth 100 million. I agree. If he was like Brazilian, he'd be worth about 60 million. And that's the annoying thing as well. Benzema really had to decide to leave just when things were getting seriously 3-run of Kane. Yeah, Benzema's leaving for Saudi Arabia, I believe, just as we could have maybe got Kane as well, which is annoying. Frimpong and Hojlund would destroy teams. We haven't been linked to Frimpong too much lately, and that's because Ten Hag said that, or sources said that Ten Hag no longer wants a right back. But I think Frimpong's someone we get linked to next season. And Hojlund has a quality of blend of attributes, but can't expect him to be week in, week out #9 next season. True. Alex makes a good point here. People forget Hojlund is 20. We can't expect him to play every week and deliver to like the level Benzema and Lewandowski can. We'll have to be patient with Rasmus Hojlund, most definitely, if we want it to work as well. Let them get Kane and let's look for a future star. I mean, I want Kane and I'd be devastated if we don't get Kane, but there's quite a few United fans that aren't actually too bothered with the Kane situation as well. I just want to see if any more news has come out as well. Just a lot about Real Madrid and who they want to sign, etc. Diogo Costa said, "I love Porto. It's the club of my life. I'd give my life for it. My life is resolved in Porto. Manchester United." He said, "This is the internet." He was asked about United, Diogo Costa, and he said, "This is the internet." Now, United have been scouting Diogo Costa. United have been looking at Diogo Costa for a very long time, and there's no denying the fact that United are big admirers of Diogo Costa. But I don't know if United will be spending 65 million on the goalkeeper when reports have just come out today that Manchester United do not want to sign big money on a goalkeeping signing. I don't know if I can see United then all of a sudden just splashing out 65 million on Diogo Costa. We'll have to wait and see what happens with that as well. Alice, what do you think about the Mount deal? I think it's a decent deal. I think it's an improvement on Ericsson, but I won't pay more than 50 million. And I think if we sign Mount, we still got to sign another midfielder to solve defensive options. Cedric said that Fred isn't good enough. Fred actually came out today and he said that he's very happy at United, but he has to just check that he's going to get the game time to stay here next season. There's a feeling that both Fred, McTominay, Maguire, Lindelof, and David De Gea have all played their last Man United games, which is crazy. Caleb said, let's get Kim. He's the better defender and playing in a more competitive league. Timber would need a whole season to settle in the Premier League. Timber or Kim Min-jae, let me know. I think Timber is fantastic, but I would take Kim Min-jae just now, but I have no issue with both of them. Don't see the maths working to sign Costa this summer unless we're clever with digits, and that's true. I think United want a goalkeeper, but I wouldn't be surprised if we got a goalkeeper that's not Diogo Costa, potentially a goalkeeper we haven't been linked to too much. I really would not be shocked because I don't know if we're going to sign Diogo Costa or not. I know we're scouting him. I know we're looking at him, but I don't know. Like, I don't believe the report saying United are advancing and it's close, etc., etc. I think United like the guy, but because our number one priority isn't a goalkeeper, I think United will look at a goalkeeper that's maybe cheaper and better than De Gea, and maybe in that £30 million mark. But I don't know if they're going to spend 65, 70 million on the goalkeeper when they could be buying 2 strikers, they could be buying 2 midfielders. They might not have that money as well. Alice, Rabiot is a good midfielder, but his mum will be an issue and demand wages. Look, I like Rabiot, but I'm not going to deal with him effing about for wages. If he wants to F about for wages, he can go elsewhere as well. We should sign someone from the Iraq's league. I mean, if they have anyone good, we should. But if they don't have anyone good, there's no point, unless you want to do it from a PR marketing perspective as well. Hojlund has a quality blend of attributes, but can't expect to be week number 9 week in, week out. I read that as well. And yeah, look, Harry Kane is absolutely unreal. Hojlund would be about £42 million, 50 million euros apparently. No, Hojlund would be £50 million, would he? Someone was going to be, who was it that wasn't going to be 50 million? Mason Mount won't be 50 million, they don't think. I forgot what I was talking about. Mason Mount, no, Diogo Costa. Diogo Costa, I thought you were talking about Diogo Costa for some reason, even though they say Hojlund. Diogo Costa's got a £60 million release clause. It said that United could get Rasmus Hojlund for £50 million, which would be good business as well. Alice, can you try and get João Felix from Atletico Madrid? I would quite like João Felix at United, but not for the money Atletico Madrid want. Madrid paid a lot of money for João Felix. He's what was I going to say? Madrid paid a lot of money for João Felix, and he's a little bit overrated. He's not as good as people think he is. So I like João Felix, and I think he's a good player. And I think he's been unlucky at Chelsea and Madrid as his 2 options. But I think you'd have to break the bank to sign him this summer. And he's really proved that he's not worth breaking the bank for. Amrabat's a complete midfielder. We should be going for him. Look, United have been linked to Amrabat, but not by a reliable source. But I would not complain if we signed Amrabat. I think he's a very good player. Hojlund half the price of Harry Kane. I think value for money. You can say Hojlund's better as well. Alex, I written back day, but his distribution was horrendous yesterday. Can't surrender possession so easily against the best side. And that's the frustrating thing. He was just giving it to Ortega all the time. And that wasn't even City's first choice goalkeeper. And I felt that we were giving the ball away so much. What do you think of Tielemans at United for free? Not a big fan of the Tielemans deal anymore. Last year I would have liked it. This year I've really gone off Yuri Tielemans lately. I'll be all honest with you. I've really gone off Yuri Tielemans lately. Just not helped his club in the slightest. So let's get into the Mount news. And then we'll get into some more transfer news regarding United's plan. It was said just in Manchester United to make an offer of £50 million to sign Mason Mount this month. It was said that Ten Hag has earmarked Mason Mount for the key number 8 role to provide more dynamism to United midfield to replace Eriksen. Mason Mount's teammates have confirmed he will join United and that he's going to United, but Manchester United and Chelsea, for this deal to be done, need to agree a fee. Yes, personal terms have been done, but they need to agree a fee. Romano said that Chelsea want a fee of 70 million. United won't pay more than 50 million. They need to get together and provide a fee. It was said as well by The Sun today that Porto's Diogo Costa is on Manchester United's watch list, but the 23-year-old comes in at a £65 million price tag, which United might see as too affordable. So United have also been watching Croatian goalkeeper Dominik Lajkovic, 28, at Dinamo Zagreb this season, and his release clause is 8.9 million. So United might be looking at another younger, slightly better keeper. It was said that United are not looking to recall Dean Henderson, who's 26, and are hoping his loan deal to Nottingham Forest can turn into a permanent switch as well coming out. So it seems that United want Dean Henderson to go and make 30 million for him. They want McTominay to go and make 40 million for him, and they want obviously Maguire to go and make 30 million for them, so they can potentially invest in getting the proper goalkeeper in, the proper defender in that they want, and the proper midfielder that they want. But interesting thing there is that it looks like Dean Henderson probably won't stay at United, which means it's De Gea or someone new. However, it's saying that United's priority isn't actually a goalkeeper. While Ten Hag wants one, United have prioritised other positions, which is interesting to see as well. Anything given over 50 million for Mason Mount, considering his recent form of contract situation, is madness, and it's only something United would do. If it was any other team, they probably would have taken 40 million, because it's Man United, they know we're overpaying. We need to stop being known as a player that overpays as well. Pay whatever you want for Mount. He will be one of our best players in the world in a few years. And I do think Mount will be a good player for United. I really do think Mason Mount will be a good player for United. It's not my first choice, but I do think that Ten Hag's going to turn him into a good player. Alice, considering how bad De Gea has been, do you think Henderson will be given a chance as a ball-playing goalkeeper? Maybe it will be like an Arrow Wan-Bissaka situation. Potentially, I wouldn't rule it out, but I think Mason Mount will leave. I do think Mason Mount will leave. What was I saying? What have I just lost my head? Alice, considering how bad De Gea has been, do you think Henderson will be given a chance as a ball-playing goalkeeper? Maybe it will be like an wow. I don't know why I'm talking about Mason Mount. My head just tired. I think Dean Henderson will leave. I think Dean Henderson will leave. It's because I'm looking at a picture of Mason Mount on my screen and my head just went. I think Dean Henderson will leave because Nottingham Forest are reportedly going to offer 30 million for him, and I think United will sell him. However, if we do not sign a goalkeeper, potentially I think that he would play over De Gea. I will be honest, I think Ten Hag might prefer Dean Henderson to De Gea, but I think Ten Hag's plan is to get 30 million for Dean Henderson and invest 30 million in David Raya. That's what I wouldn't be shocked if that was Ten Hag's plan. I know we're getting heavily linked to Diogo Costa, but I actually think we will sign a goalkeeper that isn't Diogo Costa. It might not be David Raya. It might be the Anderlecht keeper. It might be the keeper I just brought up. I think we will sign a keeper, but I don't think it will be Diogo Costa. But I do think Henderson will be sold because I know a lot of you guys really don't like David De Gea, but I don't think Henderson is that good. I don't think Henderson is good enough for United. Some people say, let's just bring Henderson back. That saves us an issue. I think sell Henderson, buy a better keeper. I don't think Henderson is good enough for United, but I think some people don't like De Gea so much that they want to bring Henderson back. But Henderson caused a lot of mistakes as well that I think people kind of forget as well. And Mason Mount's beautiful face just distracting you. Honestly, I think because I'm just tired, I start saying something, then I forget what I'm saying, and I start saying something else, and I probably make no sense. And United isn't good for bargaining for players. Our outgoings aren't rated, and that's the problem. I think if we were run like Man City, we could probably get 40 million from McTominay, and 40 million for Dean Henderson, and 30 million for Maguire. I don't think United will get 25 million for some of those players. The one thing we did do well is, and until this day, we got £30 million for Daniel James. That's the one thing that United have done well, is get £30 million for Daniel James. We're on 201 likes. Let's push for 300 likes, as Diego says as well. Continuing on the Manchester United transfer front, what's going on as well? Ten Hag was obviously making the Manchester United players actually watch the Man City trophy celebrations as some kind of motivation for them, it was said as well. And we also got a story here on Harry Kane from Sami Mokbel of the Daily Mail, who is a pretty decent journalist, that I want to read up and get on the screen here. It was said those at Old Trafford rate their chances of landing Kane at unlikely at best, and they have chosen to look at alternatives in Napoli's Victor Osimhen and Juventus's Dusan Vlahovic, which are the options, but Atlanta's Rasmus Hojlund and Eintracht Frankfurt forward Randall Kolomuani are also options. What I really wanted to talk about here is I was speaking to someone today who I obviously won't name just in case they are wrong, and they basically said to me, United are really looking at Rasmus Hojlund, like this is hot from what they're hearing, and I generally believe they have connections to United. I know this person, and me, I don't say I have sources or anything like that often, because I don't have sources. I don't know much more than you guys, but I was talking to someone today, and they said, look, Rasmus Hojlund, watch that. They said that is legit. The United want this guy. They are looking at this guy. This is more legit than the Vlahovic, the Victor Osimhen, the Gonzalo Ramoses. United want Hojlund. United really like him. They'd like him in Kane. If they don't get Kane, he is the first choice, even though he's not established. They're a big fan of him. Now, we know today Hojlund wants to come to United. Hojlund followed all the United players. Hojlund is pushing for this move. Hojlund loves the idea of joining United. We know from people like Fabrizio Romano that, yes, United have actually had talks with Hojlund's representatives. This is generally someone United is seriously looking at. And, I think Rasmus Hojlund to United is very much the one to watch, the one to keep an eye on as well. Hojlund and Mount could be done by July. There is a feeling that Hojlund and Mount could be 2 early deals done by July. I'm not sure, because obviously with the takeover and stuff, if that will be the case. Hojlund started following United now, as well as a lot of United players on Twitter. I mean, Hojlund is basically begging for the move as well. I think Kane will be difficult, but Kane's what we want. I think Hojlund we can do. I think Kim and Jay we can do. I think Mount we can do. I think other deals will be difficult this summer. We will talk about the FA Cup game. As Alex has said, Leach and Anthony were huge losses not being available against City, especially with their fight and work rate. And I think we've massively missed that. I think Man City have been a lot luckier with injuries as well. I think, we were a bit unlucky in terms of injuries and stuff. Had everyone been fit, had we been able to take Anthony off the bench, I think we would have caused City more problems as well. Kane isn't moving abroad. United should bargain with Levy ASAP. I think Kane is so desperate to win a trophy. I could see him going Real Madrid. I really could. I think Real Madrid will get Kane or Ostenham. Real Madrid are going to get a big striker this summer. I would really like Real Madrid to sign Haaland, just because I don't want him at Man City in the Premier League. I think if Real Madrid could go in and sign Haaland, that would be ideal as well. And Jeremiah says, mark my words, Alice, if we do not sign Hojlund, we will regret it, as he will be 100 to 150 million in the next few years. I don't know that, but I think he will be a good player, and I think he is one for the future. Like, I'm a big fan of Rasmus Hojlund. I actually prefer Gonzalo Ramos as my Kane alternative. I think he's a little bit better, but I've not watched a lot of Atalanta. But the clips that I have seen of Rasmus Hojlund, he's got a lot to his game, and I think especially under Ten Hag, who I think is a good coach, he could hit really far levels. Diogo Costa spoke about Porto and how he likes it, and kind of denied the United rumours, which is interesting as well. It just come out now that whilst both Arsenal and Munich are said to lead the way with progress in a deal for Declan Rice, neither bid has been accepted, and both Manchester clubs are poised to make a move. Manchester United want to get their cup final out the way against City first, and then we'll make a move for Declan Rice. Now the cup final is over, there is suggestions in the media we'll make a move for Declan Rice. Now, I think a lot of the news coming out today is PR spin. United have just lost. I think a lot of the news coming out today is PR spin. The feeling is that United have a 200 million budget, which could be spent on Kim Min-jae, Diogo Costa, Mason Mount, Hojlund, and then depending on how much money they make through sales, potentially another midfielder is the feeling coming in from a few people in the scene. But again, I have to say, there's a lot of talk, there's a lot of rumours, there's a lot of speculation at the moment. And I Mason Mount, this is legit. Hojlund, this is legit. These are two ones where reliable journalists are like, yes, United are working on this. Mason Mount, I think, will be our first summer signing. Hojlund, I'd watch that. I really think some stuff will happen with Rasmus Hojlund as well. And I think there's something going on with Kim Min-jae. I think United will pursue a keeper, but I don't know if it'll be Diogo Costa. I think United will go out for Kane, but I think it will be Frankie de Jong, and we won't get him. And United look to be signing another midfielder on top of Declan Rice. So a lot of interesting kind of news has come out today, and I'm giving you my thoughts on the news that's come out today. I'd watch Hojlund, I'd watch Mount. I think the Diogo Costa and Kim Min-jae news that came out today could be a little bit of PR spin, but I would say watch Kim Min-jae. I think him and Timber, 100% watch. We need someone that can score goals. Our players are scared to strike goals, and that's true. And Hojlund does score goals, but he's young. Is he a natural goal scorer? Someone said today, and I'm going to address this. It's not something I want to talk about because we don't know if he's coming back. But there is a feeling that Ten Hag, obviously, when he was asked about Greenwood, did say Greenwood can score goals. And he basically said, look, Greenwood can score goals. I'm not saying that Greenwood's coming back, and I'm not saying that I want Greenwood to come back. I'm not saying anything. But I'm saying, I think if Greenwood came back and United made the decision to bring Greenwood back and play him, I think United would then go for Hojlund and a left winger and maybe give up on that Kane pursuit, potentially, because there's a feeling that United will go for a left winger now, and the Greenwood decision is going to be made now the season is up. So I think this Greenwood decision could potentially have an impact on the striker we go for, but I think United will go all out for Kane. Some people will celebrate if Greenwood comes back and we play Greenwood again, because he was an absolutely brilliant player. But there's no guarantee Greenwood will be the same player having a year and a half out of football. Everything that has gone through behind the scenes. Has he been training? He's been out of football a year and a half. His teammates might not like him. It could be uncomfortable in the dressing room. He might not mentally be right already. If we sign if we bring Greenwood back, and let's say United decide to bring Greenwood back and Ten Hag starts playing him, and we don't have a say on that, it doesn't mean he's necessarily going to score goals and bang it in for us. And there is a rumour coming about that United might be looking to play Greenwood next season, but I have to say, I don't really want to talk about Greenwood unless there's news on it, because it's not a situation I like to speculate on, because some people have very strong opinions on this and will feel very uncomfortable if he return. But what we do know is we are going to hear about Greenwood this week. We are going to hear about the takeover this week, and we are going to get some clarity. And I really hope we do get some clarity soon, because I just want to talk about transfers. I just want to look forward to next season, pre-season, and we can't do any of that till we get clarity. But hopefully we get clarity soon. Any news on Rashford's contract? I mean, I assume that will happen, but not much is going on with that. It's very quiet. There are better players than Rice in Europe who are half the price. I think Kamada is better than him, and Dortmund are looking at him as a replacement. I think Declan Rice is an unreal player. I think he's phenomenal. I'm a big fan of Declan Rice, but potentially, if we don't have, could there be better options out there? True. I'd still go for Moises Caicedo, even though Declan Rice is better DM. I just think because he's English, you have to pay more money for them, and there's always better options out there. But I wouldn't doubt Declan Rice. I think he's a phenomenal player. I really do. Left wing signing makes no sense to me. Rashford and Garnacho should be left wing, not need to add more there. And I agree, because I think if we don't sign Kane and we sign Hojlund, we will deploy Rashford as a striker. But I've always said Rashford's better at left wing. I know he's adapted his game at striker, but for me, Rashford's better at left wing. I'd rather have Rashford and Garnacho at left wing. I'd rather sign 2 strikers and then have Sancho, Ahmed, and Anthony as our right wing options next season as well. There's something I like about Declan Rice. I know some of you guys don't like Declan Rice, but I'm a big fan of Declan Rice. Mason Mount, I'm sceptical about the transfer, but I think he's an improvement on Eriksen. Not the biggest fan of the Mason Mount move. I think there's better players out there. I would go for Moises Caicedo. There's players abroad, better money out there. But Declan Rice to United, I would be a big fan of. Lavia from Southampton would be a good deal to do. And I think watch that, because Chelsea and Ugarte, Arsenal are kind of focused on Rice. Liverpool are focused on McAllister. I would keep an eye on this Lavia one. Now, we're not heavily being linked to him, but I really would keep an eye on Lavia to United. I think that could be an interesting one to keep an eye on. But we've not really been linked to him. I'm not saying anything will happen, but I think he will get a summer move. I don't think he will be playing in the Championship next year. And I think other clubs are looking at him, but they have a big focus elsewhere, if you get what I'm saying as well. Rice and Mount in the same team. I think if you get Mount, I think that makes it more attractive to Declan Rice. Palhinha is a good player, but I don't see United going for him. Amrabat, we've been linked to a little bit. Sounds like a possibility. We apparently tried to inquire about getting him in January, so there's probably some truth in those stories as well. Ruben Neves to United, I don't think will happen. I don't see him as a 10 signing. We need 2 9s. We're an injury suspension away from relying on just injured Martial. Yeah, and that is a good point there as well. Lavia's quality beats one that needs development, and that's true. I do think if it was me, I would sign Moises Caicedo and a Casemiro understudy. So whether that's Lavia, whether that's someone from South America, I'd be signing Moises Caicedo and a Casemiro understudy midfield if it was me. But United look to be going for more of a Mason Mount kind of route. But yeah, guys, I'm going to wrap up today's live stream. I really apologize that around like the 30-minute mark, I kind of had like a little 5-minute nap. I was live and I think I was having a 5-minute nap in my head. So if I started saying something that just completely made no sense, like when I was talking about Dean Henderson, but I was saying Mason Mount, I do apologize. But hopefully I got through the news. Hopefully it's all clear what I was trying to say. And I apologize for being half asleep. Thank you everybody for tuning in today's show. Please do smash a like. Please do smash a subscribe. I will be back tomorrow morning with some takeover news. See you then. Bye.